This lesson is about the different shades of the past tense, and they are like six different shades that I will highlight. One is the distant past. So how do we communicate that something that happened a while back? That's mazi ba'id. Then we have past continuous, so something that was happening in the past and perhaps is still happening. Then how do we communicate a past perfect? Past perfect means that it happened and we want to emphasize that it happened and that it was completed. So something that happened in the past and was done. Then how do we create doubt about something that might have happened? So something that might have happened or possibly happened. Then the next shade is conditional. So how do we say to somebody, or how is it said that if you had done X, then Y would have happened? So a conditional situation. And then finally, how do we express a wish or a desire? All right, let's start with the distant past, or mazi ba'id. Mazi ba'id, this meaning is created by putting khana before fe'le madhi. So for example, if I just say kataba, that means he wrote. Whereas if I say kana kataba, this means that he wrote a while back. So adding kana over here to the past tense verb puts this action further back in the past. Kanat hafizat durusaha. So if I just said hafizat durusaha, this means hafizat means that she learned. Durusaha is her lesson. So durus is, or lessons. So she learned her lessons. But if I say kanat hafizat durusaha, this means that she learned her lessons a while back. Okay, next is past continuous. Kana plus fe'le modare. So this is the present tense, present/future tense verb. When we put kana before that, this creates a meaning of past continuous. So if I say yaktubu, this is fe'l modare or present tense, he writes. But if I put kana first and I say kana yaktubu, then this means he used to write or he was writing. So that introduces a meaning of the action was continuously done. So that's called past continuous. Let's look at some examples. Hal anta tahfuzu kulla yawmin darsaka. So hal is question. Anta, you. Tahfuzu kulla yawmin darsaka. So do you learn kulla yawmin, every day, your lesson? So the proper English translation would be, do you learn your lesson every day? That's the question that perhaps the teacher is asking the student. And then the student responds, Ana kuntu ahfazu kulla yawmin lakin bil amsi ma hafiztu. So ana kuntu, so kuntu is like first person, and ahfazu is also first person present tense. So these two together introduces a meaning of past continuous. So I would learn my homework, or I would learn kullu yawmin means every day. Lakin, but, bil amsi, be literally means with, ams is yesterday, ma hafiztu, but yesterday I did not learn. So the main thing to be highlighted here is this kuntu ahfazu. So kuntu is, from kana, and ahfazu is first person present tense. Collectively, this introduces a meaning of past continuous. Next, wallahu, and Allah mukhrijun. Mukhrijun comes from kharaja, to take out. So mukhrijun is Allah takes out. Ma, what? Kuntum taktumun. So here again, kuntum is the form of kana that is second person plural, and taktumun is second person plural. Taktumun is what all of you hide. So Allah brings out what all of you were hiding. The combination of this kuntum and taktumun creates something that is past continuous. So Allah brings out what you were continuously hiding. And then the third one here, wa lahum for them, adhabun alimun bima kanu yakzibun. So for them is a grave punishment or a painful punishment. Bima, with what or because of what? Kanu yakzibun. So notice kanu is third person plural, yakzibun is third person plural, and these two together create a meaning of past continuous. Yakzibun means they were lying or they were denying. So for them is a painful punishment because of all the lying and all the denying that they used to continuously do.
We have a whole girdan of kana, you are trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
there is a whole, yeah, exactly. The whole, if you want, I can share that girdan with you, that sort of conjugation. But this girdan of kana follows sort of the same pattern as, the past tense verb. So like fa'ala and like fa'alta is you did, fa'altu I did. Similarly, kana kuntu is sort of, I was. If you want, I can send you. In fact, I think it's a good idea. But you've detected this, right? There is a full girdan or a full conjugation of kana, and that conjugation is essentially similar. You will notice this is like the past tense. So, how do you say, like fa'ala is he did? How would you say I did? So I did would be fa'altu. How would I say all of you all, second person male plural, all of you did, that would be fa'altum, and with kana it becomes kuntum. All right, so it's very similar.
What about he has written or he has been written?
So yaktubu is he writes. So the point I'm making on this slide is that when you see kana with fail mudare is the present tense verb. So a combination of these two creates a past continuous meaning. And the simple example that I gave was kana yaktubu. So obviously kana, has its role. Yaktubu is past tense. Yaktubu is actually present tense or mudare. And when we combine kana with this yaktubu, this creates a meaning of, this action used to continuously happen in the past.
It means
right.
Kana after noun will be in present form.
Let's just so that's not we're not talking about that on this slide. Later on, when we see kana in the Quran, then I can talk a little bit more about how from context you figure out where kana is past tense and where kana is present tense. The key point that I want you to learn on this slide is that kana plus fail mudare. So for example, kana plus yaktubu, this creates a meaning of past continuous, which means that this action used to continuously happen in the past. So that is the main point that I want you to take away from this slide. Okay, past perfect. So the past perfect in English means that something has happened in the past and it's completed. In Arabic, roughly speaking, this past perfect meaning is communicated using the harf or the word qad. Sometimes qad comes alone, sometimes qad comes with lam zabar. The lam zabar adds emphasis, but the basic function of qad is to give a past perfect meaning, which means that the action was completed, and qad also adds emphasis that the action was indeed completed. The precise meaning is based on the context. As an example, kataba means he wrote. Qad kataba would mean that he had written. So notice this translation suggests that this writing action was completed. Some examples now. Hal waladuka fil baiti. Is your boy or your son in the house? Answer, qad kharajal an. So qad means something that, implying that it's completed. Kharaja means he left. Al an, just now. So this implies that this action, his leaving, is complete. So he has left, but the al-an implies that he just left. So the qad here is saying that this leaving has happened, it's complete. The next segment is from the Quran. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. So this lam zabar before the qad adds more emphasis. So the lam zabar is for emphasis. The qad is for past perfect, which means that this action is done, it's completed. So Allah is saying that most certainly we have sent. Arsalna, this is past tense. Na means, first person, and this is the royal we. So Allah says we sent, or most certainly we sent, rusuluna, our messengers, bil bayinat. B is with, al bayinat is clear signs, and al bayinat would mean with the clear signs. So that is the use of laqad. So this also implies that this whole system of sending messengers is something that is most definitely done and completed. So that's the function of laqad, both emphasis and the fact that this activity has been completed and closed. All right. So any questions on this?
Sir, the literal translation of kad or lakad, will it keep changing with the context?
Yeah, the exact translation will be changing with the context, but you need to understand the overall meaning. Overall meaning of qad, like generally when you look at translations, qad is often translated as indeed.
Okay.
And laqad is also translated as indeed, but you need to keep in mind perfect translations are not always easy. The larger point is with qad, there is a concept of emphasis and a concept of action having been completed, and the la just adds even more emphasis.
Okay.
Can you say qad means no doubt?
Yeah, exactly. Indeed, no doubt.
Without doubt.
In different translations, you'll see different ways, but generally these two shades are there. The shade that implies completion and a shade of meaning that implies that, it certainly happened. So indeed, no doubt, most definitely. So literally, if you see 10 different translations, you'll see like different words being used. But typically, what I've just said, these are the meanings that are communicated.
So Arif sir, in past continuous, is the assumption that the action is still happening? So if I say kana yaktubu, does that mean he was writing, but it implies that he's still writing?
Okay, good question. The default is that it used to happen in the past, and again from context you can figure out whether it is still happening or not. But the default is that it used to happen. So the default is that it happened in the past on a continuous basis, and whether it's still happening now, that you sort of figure out from the from the context. Like if you remember your English literature, you would say, okay, explain with reference to the context. So you look at the context, you look at what's there, and then you figure out, okay, is the implication that this is still happening in the present or not? That depends. Okay, next, how do we create doubt? We create there are multiple ways of creating doubt. One is to add yakunu with fail madi. So yakunu is typically translated in a present tense context. So yakunu would be he is, akunu would be I am. If we add yakunu before the past tense verb, this introduces doubt. So kataba means he wrote. Yakunu kataba is he might have written. So this is sort of combining, a present tense construct with the past. So this creates doubt, but this is not used very often. The more common way of creating doubt is this word la'alla. So generally you will see this translated as perhaps. La'alla is associated with a noun or pronoun. So after la'alla, you will generally see a noun or a pronoun. It puts the noun or pronoun in nasab, and when la'alla is used with the present tense, then this implies something might happen in the future. So let's look at some examples. The first two have to do with the past tense. So la'alla is perhaps, creating doubt. Al-muallima kataba maktuba. So perhaps the teacher wrote a letter. The la'alla, notice, is creating doubt. If I did not have la'alla and I simply said al-muallimu kataba maktuba, then it would be the teacher wrote a letter. But adding la'alla does two things. The first thing it does is it introduces doubt. So it changes the meaning. It now creates doubt as to whether the teacher wrote the letter or not. The other thing it does is it impacts the i'rab. So because of la'alla, the noun or the subject here, the doer, is in nasab form. And this goes back to something we discussed many months ago now. So la'alla then becomes a strong operator. A strong operator is one that both introduces a difference in meaning and it also introduces a change in the i'rab. La'allahu kataba maktuban. So notice in the second example, the la'alla is operating on a pronoun. The pronoun is who, which means he. So la'allahu is perhaps he. Kataba, he wrote. Maktuban is a letter. Then number 3, la'alla al-muallima yaktubu maktuban. So notice here, yaktubu is present tense. And as I mentioned with this last point over here, when we have la'alla and the verb is in present tense, then this creates a meaning in the future. So perhaps the teacher will write a letter. And then number 4, la'alla al-muallimina. So notice this is muallimina because this is in nasab form. The rafa form would have been al-muallimuna, and then the rafa form would have been al-muallimuna. The nasab form is al-muallimina. So la'alla makes this in nasab, and it also introduces doubt. So perhaps the teachers will write a letter. So because this is present tense, the la'alla is creating doubt about whether this will happen. So that's the use of la'alla, and you will see this word la'alla used very frequently in the Quran. All right. Okay. Any questions on this now?
So I was just wondering, Arif Sahab, normally the subject is in Rafa. So this is an exception to the typical rule that the subject is now in Nasab.
Okay, good point. You see, when we say subject is in Rafa, that's the subject associated with a verb.
Right.
But now sort of the la'alla, when la'alla comes into play, then and the subject is sort of before the, like notice with la'alla, the subject almost always is coming right after la'alla, and then the verb comes after that. So the la'alla is the one that is putting the subject or the doer into nasab form. And you're right, if this la'alla was not there, then it would be in rafa form. But adding la'alla puts the subject in nasab. So you're right, it's the la'alla that's creating the difference.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Just like another thing that puts things in nasab form is inna. So if we want to say indeed, that also, so inna adds emphasis and puts sort of its noun in nasab form. Similarly, la'alla, la'alla doesn't add emphasis, la'alla adds doubt. And la'alla also puts the noun in nasab form. And I believe the reason this happens is, and this is totally my speculation, so this makes it very clear which noun the lalla is operating on. So, you know, about which person is the doubt being created. So this makes that explicit.
Right.
Why is this maktuban? And why are all these maktuban? Anyone?
Maf'ul, the object.
Yeah, these are the exactly. These are the objects. So that rule remains. They are the object. It's what the verb or the action is happening on. So that's why these are in nasab, and al-muallima, al-muallimina. These are in nasab because of la'alla. Okay, let's look at these two examples. Wa aina Yusufu, and where is Yusuf? La'allahu dhahaba ilal masjidi. Okay, does somebody, so Aziz Sahab, you want to translate this? Or somebody else?
Where is Yusuf? Perhaps he has gone to the mosque.
Exactly. Perhaps he, so notice, dhahaba ilal masjidi. Okay, next. Summa ba'athnakum. Actually, let me just also say this, so in the video I can have this included. Wa aina Yusufu, and where is Yusuf? La'allahu dhahaba ilal masjidi. Perhaps he has gone to the masjid. Okay, next. Thumma ba'athnakum min ba'di mautikum la'allakum tashkurun. So thumma, then, ba'athnakum, we raised you, min ba'di mautikum, after your death, la'allakum tashkurun, perhaps that you will be grateful. Okay.
So this is in past form. It's not in future tense or present tense. It's in past tense. Thumma ba'athnakum.
Actually, this is a combination. So ba'athnakum, so this is past. Literally, right. Like this is now we raised all of you. Min ba'di, after your death. This is a noun. La'allakum, and then literally this is this past or present? Just grammatically.
Present.
This is present. Yeah.
So perhaps like this implies, you know, an action happened in the past that we raised you. Perhaps that you will not. Will this be present or future actually? Future. So Allah saying, I did this for you, and you know this. We studied this in Surah Baqarah. This is where you know some group from the Bani Israel was sort of put to death temporarily for several years, and then they were raised. And you know, Allah saying this was sort of a trial. Perhaps that you will be grateful. Grateful, yeah. Gratitude is, you know, central theme in our religion. Okay. Okay, next. Conditional. Okay, how do we create a condition? So for a condition, two verbs are needed. So if X, so if something happens, then something happens. And we create this condition by using law and then la. So here is an example. Law zara'ata la hasadta. So zara'ata means sow. So this is like, you know, in English we say, as you sow, so shall you reap. So law is if, zara'ata, you sow, la, you know, then, hasadta, then you will reap. So this is clearly a condition. If you do this thing, if you sow, then you will reap. Law qara'tum, that if you studied, then you would be najahtum, then you would be successful. So remember, to create a condition, we have law and then la. Next, we have a wish or a desire. when we have law alone, so without the la, law kanu ya lamun. So this creates a wish or a desire that this is, a wish or a desire, kanu ya lamun, that if only they knew. And this is an example from the Quran. Law kunna, law if kunna nasma'u. So this is something we've studied. So if we had listened, or naqilu, or we had used our brain or our aqal. So notice this is creating a past continuous. Note this kunna along with the fail mudari creates a past continuous. So if we had listened or we had used a brain, ma kunna fi ashab as-sa'ir, then we would not have been in or with the people of the fire. This comes in Surah Mulk, and very briefly the context is the people, as they are being thrown into the hellfire, they will say to the guardians of the hellfire, like the guardians of the hellfire will ask them, did not any messengers come to you, or did nobody warn you? And their response would be that yes, people did come to warn us. And then this is the statement that they make: if we had listened and we had used our reason or our brain, then we would not be from among the people of the hellfire. So the major message here is this: law, when it's used alone, is to communicate a wish or a desire, and it's translated generally as if only. Another way that a wish or a desire is expressed is with this word laita. So laita followed by a noun or a pronoun, and then a fail madi, past tense verb. This introduces the meaning of a wish or desire. It's associated with a noun or pronoun that will come after laita, and it puts the noun in nasab form. Also puts a pronoun in nasab form, but it's not very, with the pronoun, it's not immediately obvious. We just know that the pronoun is in nasab form. So, laita al-muallima kataba. So this is just expressing a wish or a desire that the teacher had written. So because of laita, the muallima is in nasab. And then ya laitani, ya is harfe nida, calling out. Laitani is I wish. The E is for me. Kuntu, I was. Turaba is dirt or dust. So this is the last ayat in Surah Naba. Surah Naba is the first surah in the 30th Sipara. So in the last ayat, the kuffar on the day of judgment will say, Ya laitani, that, oh, I wish that I was dirt or dust. So the point here is that laita is also used to express a desire or a wish. Okay. Any question or questions? Okay. So let's move on. Okay. Let's now I'll just go through, we'll just do these translations. We've done them before, but this is just a check of whether you are with me. So I'll just ask you, so Dr. Ghani, maybe you can translate this.
Ya Zaid, O Zaid, lima ghazibat muallimatu ala ukhtika. Why did you ghazibatil?
Actually, strictly speaking, this is ghazibat. But then to combine this kasra is added. So lima ghazibat al muallim. This is like testing you also from past knowledge. So it's a good refresher.
why did you make your why did you make the teacher angry
No, once
on your
no,
sister?
pause. Yeah, once pause. Lima is why, so that's correct. Ghazibat, this is what's the Ghazibat, you're right, the verb, major verb is angry, but is this present or past?
Past.
Exactly. Is this second person, first person, third person?
This is third person for female, I
Female.
think.
Exactly. Third person, very good. This is third person female. So, and then Muallimatu is the subject because it is in.
Right. Not Rafa.
So now that you know all this, now just give me the regular English translation.
Why
What is
did
Ukhti? Ukhti is just to.
your Ukhti is sister?
Yeah. Ka.
Ukhtika is your sister?
Excellent. Okay. Now you can piece this together.
So why was the teacher angry on your sister?
Exactly. Yeah. So on your sister is a literal, but in proper English you'd say why was the teacher angry with your sister or at your sister?
Right.
Okay.
At
So
your sister.
great. Okay. So why don't you finish this up? Yeah.
Ma kanat hafizat durusaha.
Yeah.
She did not remember her lesson.
Yeah. Literally her lessons. Durus. Daras's
Right,
lesson.
her
Durus. Her, like, she did not remember her lessons. And sort of the implication means this happened a while back. So the combination of kanat and hafizat, this means that, like, implying that this happened a while back. So perhaps the teacher's angry in the recent past, and that's because of in the more distant past, the lessons, she did not learn her lessons.
Lessons, right.
Okay. Okay, Sharo, can you do the next one?
Sure. Hal anta tahfazu kulla yawmin darsaka. We've already done this.
Yeah, so this is a
minutes ago,
this is a check
yeah.
of whether both your short-term memory and whether you're paying attention or not.
All right. So did you learn your lesson every day?
Exactly.
And ana kunta ahfazu kulla yawmin.
Ana kuntu.
I used to. So I used to learn.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Lakin, but bil ams with now ma hafiztu. I did not learn. But now I did not. But I don't know how you say this.
Lakin, but
I did not learn now.
What does ams mean?
Oh, ams is yesterday. Sorry.
Exactly.
So I did not learn the lesson yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not
teachers
learn
are very familiar with this excuse. So when a student doesn't do the homework, they say, "Oh, I normally always do my homework. It's just that this particular homework I did not do." All right. Okay, good. So based on doing this now, like, we are just throwing in these other words that we need to know. Okay. Okay, Manzoor Saab, can you do this next one?
Yeah. Hal is question mark.
Exactly.
Waladuka, your son.
Exactly.
Fi may batif in your house.
Fil baiti. No, bait. This just very this baiti. Fil baiti. This bait is part. This is a noun, and it's not. It's al bait. So is in the house.
In the house.
This ta is not like katabta. This is just bait. This ta is part of the word bait. So in, and the al means the. So is your son in the house?
Yeah. Qad kharajal an. Just he has gone.
What does the qad do?
Qad is definitely.
Yeah, it's definite, and it also emphasizes completeness, that this action is done.
Yeah.
So he left al-an, like just now.
Just now.
Arif sir, is there a reason why it's beti instead of baita? Hal waladuka fil baita.
You tell me. There's a very good reason.
Oh, fi. Sorry.
Al-Fajar.
Apologize.
Exactly. So yeah, all these things are. I know it's been a bit of a break, so we're just gonna review all this. All right. Okay. Farooq. Given that your son's name is Yusuf, this is a good one for you.
Okay. Was and Aina Yusuf. Where is Yusuf? Yusuf?
Yeah.
لعله ذهب إلى المسجد. I forget لعله, but ذهب is went to the masjid.
La'alla is the most important word from today's lesson.
Okay. I was out for a little bit in the middle of the lesson.
Okay. So that's a lesson for next time. So can somebody who will help him? Dr. Shafiq, can you help out, Farooq here? What does la'allahu mean?
Perhaps.
Perhaps he.
Yeah, perhaps.
He has gone
Perhaps
to the
has gone to the masjid, yeah.
Okay. So Shahrukh, you see the advantage now of just redoing the questions that came up before.
Yep.
So I can see I can see who's paying attention, who's sort of like drifting off.
By the way, I
Teachers-
read somewhere that la'allahu is also la'alla is also used for hope or fear. So
Yeah, it's
in Arabic you say I hope something happens. You would say la'alla, or I fear that this happened. Then la'alla.
yeah, hope.
But that's
fear.
probably the same thing as that's the
It's
same thing as
related.
perhaps,
You
I
see,
guess.
there, what you will realize is these meanings, these words have many shades of meaning. And speaking of shades of meaning, I'll just point out, like la'alla is like perhaps, it's also used for hope. But la'alla, when it's used in the context of hope or perhaps, it's always used where the thing that you are hoping for or saying perhaps, that's within the realm of possibility. Okay, whereas the other word that we studied, laita can also be used as a wish for something that's not possible. So, for example, the kuffar being thrown into the fire and they would say, Ya laitani kuntu turaba. So they are wishing for something that's impossible. Whereas la'alla is always used for something that is possible. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I read the same thing about love. Like love is also meant for
love is
something
if-
that's just
right.
not possible. not
So
realistic.
the way, just so you understand, when in these sessions, I'm just giving you the meaning, but then there are all these other shades of meaning, and as we study the Quran, those shades of meaning will come through. Okay, Kashif, can you do the next one?
Just a question, Arif sir.
Yeah.
So about la'alla, so la'allahu is perhaps he.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
yeah.
it could be combined with all the pronouns.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps he, perhaps she, perhaps you. Exactly. Correct.
Okay. So even though the who wasn't required here, la'alla zahaba would have also said he, but it's a
But the rule with la'alla,
with
la'alla, as we discussed, with la'alla, there should always be a noun or pronoun that comes after la'alla.
Achha.
So la'alla doesn't like to be directly with the verb, so sort of always the noun will come there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, who's named Kashif? So Kashif, can you do this?
ولو كنا نسمع
Just Shahrukh will tell
It's
you that we did
only-
this. Yeah.
Yeah, we did do this.
Okay, you can pass if you're not sure.
Yeah,
You're passing?
yes, it's passing.
Okay, Dr. Kausar, can you translate this?
Yes, love is means wish.
Yeah, wish
I
or
wish.
if. Yeah.
Yeah. If yeah. Kunna we nasmau, we will listen.
One second. We need this combination of kunna and nasma'u. So kunna comes
Yes.
from kana, which means
Yeah.
we, and nasma'u is present tense. What does combining these two? What's the impact?
I don't understand. What do you mean?
What? Okay, I'll just say it then. This combination of this kunna and nasma. So can somebody can somebody else tell me? This is the point. This makes it past continuous.
Past continuous. Yeah.
Yeah. So if only
had we been listening.
Yeah, had we been listening, or if only we were listening. So this makes it the kunna combined with nasma'u gives it a meaning of past continuous. So an action that was continuously happening. And law means if. So it's combining multiple lessons from today's class. So if we had been listening, okay, continue. Au means
or.
So Dr. Kausar, you can continue. Okay, have we? Yeah, or I think we might have lost her. Au na aqilu, or can somebody else
use our brain?
Yeah, use our brain. Yeah, had we listened or had we used our brain? Ma kunna fi ashab as-sair.
Then
Ma is not.
Yeah, we would not have been from the.
Yeah, we would not have been from the ashab as-sair, people of the fire.
Fire.
Okay, so the remaining I'll just I think I've picked on everybody. So I'll just quickly do the remaining and then we'll get, we have till 4:15, so we'll have a few minutes for Surah Baqarah. Wama zalamuna, and we did not wrong them. Wa lakin, so this is but, kanu anfusahum yazlimun. So notice this kanu and yazlimun, this produces a past continuous meaning. Anfusahum is sort of themselves. So Allah is saying that when people, do wrong things, it's not that Allah is wronging them, but they continuously wrong themselves. Summa ba'athnakum, we raise them min ba'di, after their death. Perhaps that they are or they will be tashkurun, grateful. Okay, laqad nasarakumullahu bi badrin. So laqad, this is emphasizing that it was done, and past it was the la is for emphasis. Nasarakum, we helped all of you, and Allah is the one who did the help. Bi badrin, in the battle of Badr. So Allah is telling the believers post Badr that look, I helped you over there. Wallahu mukhrijum ma kuntum taktumun, and Allah brings out ma kuntum taktumun. Kuntum and taktumun, this combination implies past continuous. So everything that you were hiding. Walahum azabun alim, and for them is a painful punishment. Bima kanu yaksibun, with what they use, with sort of the lies that they used to tell, past continuous. Laqad radiyallahu anil mu'minin. So emphasis and past perfect. So definitely. Radi Allah, Allah is pleased with anil with the mu'minin. Laha ma kasabat walakum ma kasabtum, for it, this other soul is what it earned, and for you is what you earned. Wala tus'aluna amma kanu ya'malun. So the thing to emphasize here is kanu ya'malun. This refers to all the actions that they used to do. So, wala tas'aluna, and you will not be asked, amma, about what kanu ya'malun, what they used to do. Point being that each one of us will be asked about what we do. We will not be asked about what others did. Individual accountability. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَكْفُرُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. So here I'll emphasize kanu yakfurun. So this is past continuous. The kufr or the denial that they used to continuously do. All right, this is about the Bani Israel. All, they would constantly, yakfurun can be taken as they were not, they were not grateful. So they expressed ingratitude, and also they did not believe. So kanu makes it past continuous, which means that this is what they would continuously